पुष्पा जी।
हरिओम जी।
हरिओम। Hariom Madhvi ji. Yes, I think we can begin with the invocation. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hari Om. Yes, please. So we are now entering into the 13th Adhyay. Can anybody recollect what is it that we saw last? And again, I request all participants who can turn on your video feeds, please do turn on the video feeds. So what is it that we saw? Khsetragnya Vibhaga. Yes, please. We saw the start of it. Anybody can recollect something? Krishna begins with the Kshetra. He says, this is the Kshetra. And then he describes the different parts of the Kshetra. Yes, please. If someone establishes the link, we can take it ahead. Yes, please. Anyone?
Our desires, temptations, likes, dislikes, they are the deformities.
Okay.
And
Ji.
we have to get rid of them.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, Srinivasi has talked about the what is the vikara or the deformities that are present. So interestingly, so the Kshetra is not completely perfect. The Kshetra has its good things also, and then there are the bad things, which are the vikara. So I think sadhana is for eliminating these vikara. That is one thing we saw. Yes. Anything else? What is Kshetra? Who is the Kshetragnya? Anybody can just add a little bit more to what Srinivasji shared?
So Kshetra is made of 5 elements and
Ha.
mind and
Yes.
ahankara.
Yes. The Indriyas, Pancha, Chandriya, Gocharaha. So this is the 5 elements, 5 sense components. And there is one more important aspect, that is the unmanifest light. There is a light of the divinity or the divine existence which is avyakta. Probably our job is to make it vyakta and make it what we manifest in our life. So that is one more thing we saw. Kshetra is like this, but Kshetra is in a larger scale. If we want to go on a small, what we can say, a more focused area, Kshetra can, yes please, Bhamaji, yes please.
No, nothing.
Okay, alright, I'll just mute then, yes please. So if you see, Krishna begins with Idam Shariram Kaunteya. This Sharira is your first Kshetra that you must understand. Somebody who knows its principles, who knows its foundation, who knows the Kshetra perfectly, can be called a Kshetragnya, is what Krishna is saying. This, I think, we have seen each of us choose a field of our life, whichever sometimes comes to us, or sometimes we consciously choose that field, and then we start trying to understand everything in that field, and slowly, without our knowledge, we start becoming the Kshetragnya, one of the knowledgeable people in the field. And here Krishna begins by saying this Sharira means first recognize your body. Damleji always says, this is the Vedantic word, he says, know thyself. Before you know yourself, know your body first, because now if your body you are not sure what is going to happen, you are not conscious of your physical self. What will, because physical self is an important aspect in sadhana also. It is the adhar, it is the base. The instrument has to work, instrument has to be good. It is your sharira yatra, your life's yatra is going to, jivan yatra is going to be taken by this vehicle, which is the physical body. It is an important aspect which you must be conscious of, is what Krishna is saying, very reminiscent of these wonderful words, Shariram Adhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. So even for upholding Dharma, Sharira is required, you cannot let go of Sharir. So first is this base. But the Kshetra is not limited to the Sharir only. It starts spreading your area of consciousness as it widens, it grows from what we can say Stula to Sukshma also. So there are so many Kshetras in the world. Right now, if you see, there are yourself, you are handling so many different Kshetras. Each time an individual is parenting is one aspect of their life, another aspect is their profession, one is their personal life, another is work life. In profession also there are different Kshetras. So, yes, Bhamaji wants to add something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know whether he means like Adi Shankara, the Shrotro, the Grani, Netre, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham.
Chidananda.
Is that what he means?
Now, this Chidananda Rupa is a sakshatkar of a yogi who has attained the supreme realization of the Kshetragnya. Krishna says, yes, we are all conscious. So who knows? Anybody who understands the Kshetra can be called a Kshetragnya. But there is one supreme Kshetragnya that Krishna says, that is Krishna himself, or the Purusha, or the supreme divine, who knows all the Kshetras. Probably if we want to see a simpler way of looking at it is, now, like I said, example, your kitchen is your Kshetra. If I come into your kitchen, I will not know anything because that is your area. My Kshetra might be my kitchen, but when I come to your place, it's a different Kshetra altogether. So what I have to do is I have to understand the different Vibhaga of the Kshetra. I'll have to understand where salt is, where are the different spices are kept, where is rice, where is the other dal and other items. Then I can understand, then I can function. So first aspect would be becoming conscious of the Kshetra. Then you can enter into the what we can say, the game of Purusha and Prakriti. That is exactly what Krishna says. Then he goes on to what is the way of the Kshetragnya. Because again, this is like Chidananda Rupa Shivam is a high realization of a yogi. But all of us may not immediately get that realization. And if we say, I remember Shivoham Katham, how? How is Shivoham inside of this body? This body is so limited and it has so many different faults. How is that realization possible? I tried thinking of that question to myself, and I immediately got an experience telling me, no, go back to your roots first, go focus on your works before you try to go there, because to reach that is a realization. It is not something, an intellectual thought which simply by thinking it has come out of sadhana, maybe many births of sadhana also where it culminated. So easier way, as Krishna says, what is the Kshetragnya? Who is the Kshetragnya? First recognize that there is a supreme Kshetragnya. The advantage of recognizing a supreme Kshetragnya is there's going to be no ahankar inside of you. The moment you say, I am the Kshetragnya, I know this field very well, that day you are going to be taken away by your ahankar, because this I is the problem every time. So when you recognize there is somebody greater, more powerful, more supreme, then it's always humility will come to you, and just recognize he is the Kshetragnya, he can change even the rules of the Kshetra anytime. So let me be surrendered to the divine. So that is one. And what is the way of Kshetragnya? That we see in next set of shlokas. We see shlokas number 7 to 11, where Krishna says, these are the qualities. Why we do a worship of divinity through qualities? Because we try to cultivate those qualities, or through those qualities we recognize the divine. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shanti Rupena Sanstita Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. Like Shanti is there, Shakti is there, so many different forms. So like that, Krishna says these are the ways of the Kshetragnya. It starts with devoid of exhibitionism and self-priding arrogance. There is not an extra arrogance inside of that individual. There is no showing off tendency in that person. That person is humble. That person is having the tendency of ahimsa, not a violent attitude, having a general non-violent attitude. But that person is capable of defending the ideals and principles. Non-violence does not mean allowing the enemy to come and attack and not respond at all. That is again a violence towards yourself, if you are allowing that individual to harm you or your swadharma also. But as a choice, the person prefers what it is, that ahimsa, having a compassion for all, having a patient tolerance, with purity from within, serving the gurus also. Guru seva, what people do, that was there. Guru Parampara is something which is going on for several eons in India, and that is also one of the ways of what is the understanding of Kshetragnya will help us, or it will teach us the way of knowledge which will enable us to become the Kshetragnya someday. That is a natural process, and these are the ways. Krishna goes on, mind is firmly in control of the lower nature. There is detachment, there is absence of false ego. Understanding this truth, the four truths of life which Krishna talks, to be understood and accepted without sorrow. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Birth, death, old age, and disease. These are the four truths of life. Every human being born in this world will go through these four. We must accept that without sorrow. That is also a way of Kshetragnya. That samatha, and looking at this, it is very difficult to see disease without getting affected. It is very difficult to see old age without getting affected. It is very difficult to accept death also. But this is the way, is what Krishna. This is all part of life. As Krishna said, somebody who is born will die one day, and somebody who has died will also get birth again. So accept without being troubled is what Krishna told in the very second Adhyay. So he goes on after that he says not having anxieties and familial concerns. Sometimes familial concerns disturb a person so much when everything else is going on well in the house. Financially everything is all right, security is there, health wise everybody is good, all the other problems, there are no other major issues which are generally affecting the livelihood or exact living of the person. But anxieties and insecurities control a person so much that it's like basically ultimately what does a person want? A person wants food to survive, a good home, like what we can say, a roof to sleep under, and people whom you like to at least interact. That is a basic requirement. But what happens is, in spite of having all of these anxieties come in between, anxieties spoil the game completely, and these are familial anxieties. Krishna is saying that is a big problem. Leave that, keep that aside. Because how much can you control? Krishna says that person, whether is able to get detached from his own family, means that is home, that is his wife or husband and children or objects, all this person is able to look with one step behind, one step out of the immediate action reaction phase. That person can see one step behind, and the mind is always in truth, always in that truth consciousness, whether or not things happen according to will. Now, this is the simplest aspect. Most of the time, people want to assert their control emotionally, physically, different ways. And when that control, and the problem is asserting control only requires a lot of force. And the more action you use, you will have the greater reaction only. So how long can you keep sustaining? Anxieties and stress take over the person who is trying to control. But when a person does let go and understands, see, no matter what I do, I cannot control another person's life. If a person chooses a different type of life, no matter what can be done, that person has chosen that life. You cannot make somebody else. If you make somebody else, you'll have to keep making that person do that, and that will exhaust you completely, and your life will be ruined by your own anxieties. And this is what Krishna says, this is a big problem. Then what else? Then what should one do? When practice yoga with devotion, love the supreme with an unswerving dedication. Mind should be directed towards an inner clarity, away from the crowds, away from the outer vanity. Many times it is the crowd mentality, herd mentality, they say. You don't realize. It is like sheep. Sheep just follow their leader, or goats, they just follow wherever they are being led. Even if the goat herd decides one day, I'm going to now chop these goats and sell these goats, yeah, goats will keep following that because they're caring only about their cycle, and they will not even be conscious also. So that is why we should be a little bit careful, because nowadays many times people very easily get triggered, and this friend told like this to this person, so immediately they form a group and then they start. This is something which Krishna says avoid it, remain in sadhana, don't get carried away, because this also peer pressure puts so much onto people. This person is done like this, so I have to do like this. See, what will people think of me? What will society think of me? All these questions are extra burdens. No matter what you do, society will think something of you. People will think wrong of you. You do everything perfect, also something wrong will come out. Those who want to see wrong, and those who want to see right will see right only. But this aspect of getting connected with the outer circle, that's a problem, and Krishna says move inwards. Practice yoga with devotion. Love the Supreme. Have dedication. They say Nishtha and Shraddha both come together. A determination and devotion both come very strongly together, and Krishna says practice it, and let your mind be having that clarity. Sometimes you just have to get that clarity and you really understand everything. There's a nice quote attributed to the Buddha. When you realize how perfect everything is, you will tilt your head and laugh at the sky. Now, what is there to laugh at the sky? When somebody who understands that suddenly, yes, all the dots in life also start connecting after a point. And then you see, yes, this is why this is why that happened. Sometimes in the wrong also, you can see what was right. This aspect is something which Krishna is talking about. Love the divine, serve the divine, and focus on the inner clarity. And last comes seeking. All right, Dipti ji. Yes. So, seeking verily the true knowledge, spiritual, understanding its principles, philosophical and factual. So, understanding it philosophically and by fact also, trying to understand the spiritual knowledge also. This is not, there is no some such thing as andhashraddha. There is ignorance and there is shraddha. When you mix ignorance, then it ceases to be shraddha because ignorance of the individual takes control over the shraddha also. So, keeping that ignorance aside, how can you do that? Look at Arjuna. How did he develop his Shraddha? He was questioning also. He was seeking. He was not just merely skeptically questioning and going in circles. So understand the philosophy, understand the facts. Sri Aurobindo had talked about surrender, and so in the ashram, a lot of people started living a particular way. Then he had to issue a note because that was how he interacted. He never came out of his room for 17 years. In sadhana, he was there. He said, I have asked the sadhaks to, it was a joke, of course. Sri Aurobindo had a very nice, humorous aspect which very few discovered. Everybody knew him as the non smiling saint. Only the very close inner sadhaks knew of the jokes that he cracked. So there he had mentioned, I have asked them to surrender their minds. I have not asked them to surrender their common sense. Meaning their people are just in the name of surrender. They are giving up. So Shraddha is there, all of this is there, surrender is there. Your ability of mind, ability of intellect, you are surrendering, but common sense must be intact. You cannot lose that. It is like saying Aham Brahmasmi and nothing will happen to me now. Even if a bull comes chasing at me, it will not hurt me. No, that's not. That's the wrong understanding. So this aspect, understanding is philosophy. Understand, go to its root, understand it clearly. These are all the ways of the Kshetragnya. Means you follow these, follow all of these, sadhana is complete. Just how many shlokas? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 shlokas alone are sufficient, is what Krishna is saying, to understand and become the Kshetragnya. And anything against this, we can call it asat or wrong, as Krishna is saying. It is all ignorance. It is going against knowledge, is what Krishna says. So now let us go on further. With this base, Krishna tries to take us little bit inner. He takes us to that play of Purusha and Prakriti which is taking place in the Kshetra. So the Kshetra he has first described the outer aspect. Now he is coming to the inner aspect. Let us go to the 12th shloka. ज्ञेयं यत्तत् प्रवक्ष्यामि यज्ञात्वा मृतमश्नुते अनादिमत्परं ब्रह्म न सत् तन् नासदोच्यते. He says, I now reveal the wisdom wherein the golden truth is contained, knowing which the immortal consciousness can be gained, that knowledge of the eternal Brahman supreme, beyond existence and non-existence's limits one can deem. I'll now talk to you about this Supreme Brahman, who is even beyond the Sat and Asat, beyond the existence and non-existence also. Knowing this, you can taste Amritattva is what Krishna is saying. Nachiketas also tasted Amritattva when he got that realization. That time he had a dialogue with Yama. Well, Krishna is saying this here. He says, you will understand, if you get this knowledge, you will get the taste of this same immortal nectar. Sarvatah Panipadam Tat Sarvato Kshishiro Mukham Sarvatah Shrutimaloke Sarvama Vruttya Tishtati. His hands and feet spread in all directions. Everywhere we see only his eyes and face's reflection. The whole universe by his divinity he does engulf and pervade. All life forms are but dwellers in his shelter and shade. Hands and feet spreading in all directions. Everywhere we see the reflections of his face and his eyes only. Have you seen this somewhere in the Gita before? Several hands, several feet, in all directions. Vishwarupa. Yes, Gayatri ji, exactly. So Vishwarupa Darshana also. It is same as what we saw even in the Purusha Sukta as we have seen. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasrakshas Sahasrapat. So many hands, so many feet. Well, this is a truth. That is the Supreme Purusha whose presence is that powerful. He is there. But now where is the biggest question? How do we realize it? That is probably what we want to understand. Let us go on. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vivarjitam Asaktam sarvabhrutchaiva nirgunam gunabhoktrucha. In all qualities and senses, his splendor is there, but none of the sense impulses does he himself bear. Detached from all, he nourishes all creations. He enjoys the senses, but they are not his limitation. So what is he saying? He's saying the divine is present in all qualities and senses. His splendor is there, but he himself is not having these impulses inside of him. He is beyond that, but his presence can be seen in the brilliant qualities, in different, even in the Indriyas also his presence can be understood in perception. But he is detached from all, though detached, he is still connected because he is nourishing the entire creation. He is supporting the creation. He is the Adhar. He is the Adhar. We do not know, for example, for us, prana is our Adhar. But are we aware of prana coming in, moving on, prana, apana, all of that? The day pran leaves, what happens to us? They say, gata pran, no more, the person is gone. But what happens to the individual then? Well, there was something. Is he just the body? Is he something more? Well, there is something else which is still hidden. We are not conscious of. But this Purusha is there. He enjoys the senses, but they are not his limitation. This is best like if we see in the 8th Adhyay only, we saw about Brahma's cosmic night and cosmic day. How is it for man? An entire yuga. So at that perspective, it does not really, each and everything is not what we can say going to, like we saw, if it's not going to affect the Brahma is not going to get disturbed. Like for more practical example would be those insects that come inside of our homes during rainy season. So many insects come towards the tube light, and what happens after that? Then they die. But we don't get disturbed. That does not mean we are insensitive. It's just that in the grander scheme of things, it is not. For us, that pain of the insect is not reaching up to us. Something like that. Brahma is in that state of Satchidananda only, all the time. So pain, whatever experience is there, pain or pleasure, ultimately it gets rarefied as it goes higher and higher. From there it is Ananda. From Ananda it comes down and there is like white light splitting into different colors. Like that we have so many experiences, but all have originated from that one essence. And there it does not create a flutter or confusion because that place, that sthiti, it is there only. It is the full quietude. Here, no matter how many life cycles go and come, there that level of perspective is that only. That is the Purusha. He is also participating. He is enjoying the senses. Unlike us, we don't participate in the life cycle of the creatures, insects, which come into our home. We are just unconscious. Here he is conscious, but he is not intervening, and he is participating, but he is not limited to them only. Let us go on. बहिरन्तश्च भूतानाम् अचरं चरमेव च सूक्ष्मत्वात् तदविज्ञेयं दूरस्थं चान्तिके च तत्. Present inside and outside all living ones, both mobile and immobile, together at once. He is unimaginable, infinitesimally subtler than the subtlest. Beyond understanding, he is nearest and also farthest. What is Krishna doing? Is he trying to confuse Arjuna now? He's saying he's inside also, he's outside also, mobile also, and immobile also. He is unimaginable, achintyam, avikaryam. This is what we saw a description of the Atma in the second Adhyay. So here he cannot be imagined, and yet he is infinitesimally subtler than the subtlest, beyond understanding. He is near and also he is farthest. Can anybody tell me what is the logic here? Is he trying to confuse? Arjuna is now on the right track. Does Krishna want to derail his own efforts also? When he says he's unimaginable, why is he giving attributes then? Anybody? Could you guess that?
It's like a micro level and macro level.
Yes. Okay.
If you say infinite, then that's all. If you say it is not, it's beyond our limited imagination. We believe that.
Okay.
So, it is like a smallest among the smallest and biggest among the biggest. So, if you think that he is unimaginable, yes, he is not. But for a child, a small example would give uh, for them to understand a big concept.
Okay.
So on that basis, yes, if you think that I am
Haha.
this, yeah, I can be contained
Yeah.
in small thing also. But truly, my nature is that I'm spread all over.
Okay.
Kept in Because
Okay.
if you just say it is not possible, then we will leave it as it
Ha
is
ha.
not possible.
Okay.
To give a pinch of it, yes, you can have it also.
Ji. All right. Okay, Gayatri ji. Yes, yes, and that is exactly. This is the entry ticket to Brahma Vidya only, the kingdom of Brahma Vidya. It is through this. Mind has its limitation, mind has its logic. We can understand near, we can understand far. So Krishna is using that. He says, like as Gayatri ji said, for children, you give smaller examples, so help the child imagine something which is beyond the understanding of the child. So like that, for on the mental level, Arjuna has to rise beyond the mental level also. But to rise that, he will have to use his mind only as the springboard. And for that, he is now talking in a language that the mind understands. He says he's near also, but he's far also. He's inside also, he's outside also. He's moving and not moving at the same time. We know what is mobile, what is immobile. So he says he's this, and yet he is more than that also. And he's unimaginable because he's very more subtle than the subtlest and yet wider than the skies. Now, if you see the Vedantic truths, they are very similar like this only. The Upanishads also, if you take Om iti etad aksharamidam sarvam tasyopavakhyanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkarameva. Omkar is everything. Is the past, is the present. Trikalatītam. That is also beyond time also. There is also tadantarascha tad bahyascha. That's inside also and outside. The very same words which are there in this shloka can be visible in different Upanishads, probably Mandukya as well. So this aspect is allowing Arjuna to, yes, ji, yes. So this is allowing Arjuna to probably get into the boundary of the mind, recognize this is the boundary of the mind, and then go something which is beyond. This is what Krishna is wanting. And if you see, sometimes with bhakti, it is very easy to enter into the kingdom of Vedanta. It's like you have got a all country visa, something like that. Bhakti allows you to go to every kshetra. This is how even Tukaram had described this. We know atoms. Before atoms were discovered, nobody knew about it, but in our Sanatan Dharma, we had already described of Anu or Pindite Brahmandi. These are different words people use in different regional languages. Also, this is a very known aspect. What is there in the microcosm is just reflected in the macrocosm. But now, atom was described and then it was discovered as the smallest entity which cannot be divided, which cannot be further subdivided. Then atom was further subdivided into protons, electrons, neutrons, and further people went on going. Like that, Tukaram had described Anu Reniya Thokada Tuka Akasha Yoda. Means Tuka is himself. He's saying, I am smaller than the atom, smaller than the subatomic particle called Renu, and yet Tuka is wider than the skies. What does that mean? It is, if you see, it is not logical. Well, how do you say the scientists of the quantum realm are logical? They suddenly say your classical laws will not work anymore, and they prove it to us also that they won't work. Then they say this is not divided, and then they find subdivisions up to the quarks. We have so many different quarks, right from electrons also we're going inside, protons, neutrons, all of that. Then there is so many aspects, and they keep going deeper. Now quarks already have been divided into up quark, down quark, side quark, color quark. Each have different properties. In another 20, 30 years, we'll have another 30, 40 more divisions. So how can you go further deep inside something which is too tiny? Well, that is exactly what we can say, which is subtler than the subtlest and yet so wide. That is the Brahma, is what Krishna is saying. That is the Supreme Purusha. Let us go to the next one, 16th one. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhakta miva cha sthitam bhutabhartru cha te tadnyayam grasishnu prabhavishnu cha. He is immutable and the indivisible oneness, and yet his creatures appear as life forms of distinctness. All the living beings from him only emerge. Back to eternity, all of them return to converge. So they have originated from him, they'll go back to him, is what Krishna says. He is immutable, he is the one, the indivisible one. Despite being one, Ekoham Bhaushyami is what has been told. One, let me be many. That was how the division took place, and the divine consciousness started dividing and spreading. But look on the outside, are we all one? We are not. We are different in our own tastes, preferences, appearances, thoughts, life patterns, life cycles, everything is different for us on the outside. Yet behind this what we can say diversity, There is one inner unity is what the Vedantic truth is. Same Krishna is also saying the same thing. Jyotisham api tajyotihi tamasah paramuchyate jnanam gneyam jnanagamyam hridhi sarvasya vishtitam. He is the light that illumines light. The light that illumines light is He. Beyond all the forms of darkness that can be, He is the knowledge and He is the wisdom. And in the hearts of all presides His kingdom. So this is interesting. The address of the divine inside of a being has been told. He lives there near the heart, in the heart center. Is it the physical heart? Some cardiologist might want to do an operation and find out where is the God. No, it's not the physical heart. The heart center, that is a seat of consciousness also. At that point, that is where the divine is what Krishna is saying. He is the light that gives light to the sun. Sun is what we can say powering the entire solar system, but there is something which is powering the sun also, and Krishna says it is that divine. He is beyond all the forms of darkness. He is that knowledge. He is the wisdom, and that is where his kingdom is also. He is presiding among all the living in the hearts of all, is what Krishna is saying. Krishna goes on, Iti kshetram tatha jnanam neyam choktam samasatah madbhaktah etad vijnaya madbhava yopapadyate. So what happens here? Krishna is saying, this is the realm of the field I have surmised and shown. And also what is knowledge? What is to be known? Krishna is summarizing and completing. He says, see, this is the Kshetra I have talked about. He's talked about all the different Kshetras, and ultimately the supreme Kshetra is one, is what he's showing. He says, I have summarized and I have told you all. And what is the knowledge? What is to be known? What is the highest knowledge? And what is that to be known? So what does this indicate? Krishna is saying each of us are capable of receiving that highest knowledge, and this must be our aim. It is what we can say, not failure, but low aim is a crime, it is said. So our aim has been given the highest. We are children of immortality. We are not made of sin. We are Amrutasya Putra Vayam. So when are we going to get that experience of Amrita? When are we going to get that realization? So that would go when you go to that truth. He says, I have given you the direction. You must go there. You identify where your direction is. Now after this, you have to go, is what Krishna is saying. He says, when my devotees can know this and realize, then into their natures, my divinity, they materialize. When the bhaktas can recognize this, they can understand the divinity. Then their kshetra is going to, as if suddenly, if imagine in your room, in your home, you are using a bulb with a particular wattage. Suddenly that is replaced with an extremely brilliant bulb which has got greater wattage. What will happen to the room then? What is going to happen? Anybody? It will become more bright. It will become, and in that brightness, everything will appear more clear. Yes, is it not? This is what, that is that avyakta is there, that hidden light, that phantom light is already there all around us, which we have not realized. Krishna says, when you go, he has given so many ways of becoming the Ksetragnya, but he says, as you go closer to that supreme light, that light starts manifesting in your life. Many times you see some people who are connected with the divine, they are always in a state of bliss. You go around them, you feel like you want to be next to them only for a longer time. Because that light you are able to experience, you are able to feel, and you also feel, yeah, yes, this person is materialized. I also want to materialize that. How can I bring that? Because that will change the entire perspective. The room remains the same, the objects in the room will remain the same. Only your ability to perceive will increase tenfold, it will become more brilliant. Something like that Krishna is saying. When you realize this, you are with bhakti again. My bhaktas is what Krishna is saying. They are going to get that knowledge, they are going to manifest my divinity. Krishna goes on, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhyanadi Ubhavapi Vikaransha Gunanshchaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. So now gunas are being introduced, and after they get introduced, from later on there will be a separate Adhyay. But gunas, what is this? This is the universal operating software of Prakriti. Prakriti is manifesting in all human beings and working, governing over us, putting the stamp on us through the gunas. Gunas are three: Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. We will be looking at it in detail. Let us see. Prakriti is being described. Prakriti is the counterpart of the one being supernal. Like him, she too is immaculate and eternal. Within her only originate all of nature's qualities, but also arising from her are the many deformities. So Prakriti is also, Shakti is just as powerful as Shiva. Shakti is also immaculate. Shakti is also herself immortal like Shiva. This is what Krishna is saying. But Prakriti's manifestation has resulted in all the nature's qualities, and in the nature also there have been Vikara. There is Vikara also in the nature. It is something like a ray of light. When it passes through a medium, what happens to it? It gets refracted, is it not? Something like that. The Purusha enters into the Prakriti, and then so many. It was probably only Ananda that was supposed to be experienced, but something happened in this crazy experiment. We got so many shades along with Ananda, we got Niranandam also. What is that? What has happened? There is happiness, there is pain, there is darkness, there is light, there is possessiveness, there is selflessness. So many different experiences have come because of the splitting. So this is what has happened, and probably this is why sadhana is required. This is why avatars are also coming birth after birth to bring about the raising of consciousness. And in the what we can say in the Shara Vishwa also, probably the realization of Sakshatkar of the Akshara can be got. We will have to see that. Some of scientists are saying that Mayapi Parabrahma Prasantasya Santarupinam. Maya is also a part of Parabrahma only. It is a form, a finite form of the infinite. Through that, we have to probably realize it. Let us go on. Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetuhu Prakrutiruchyate Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam Bhoktrutve Heturuchyate. So, the domino of cause and effect is her procreation, the experiences of individual consciousness, her creation, and the one supreme being, the Purusha, does but enjoy, experiencing both pleasure and pain with joy. So, like a lion in the jungle, lioness does all the hunting, lion sits and yawns, something like that. The Purusha is just, he is but enjoying, he is on his Shesha, he is enjoying nicely. Prakriti is bringing about all the action, reaction, everything. The domino of cause and effect. It is by Prakriti. The experience of individual consciousness is Ahankar. I am different. I am unique. Everybody thinks they are unique. Now, what does unique mean? Unique means there's nobody like that. But when everybody is thinking the same thing, uniqueness itself loses its purpose. So, everybody are same in thinking of themselves being distinct from others. Well, they are not to be blamed. Krishna is saying Prakriti has brought that feeling. Prakriti makes us think I am separate, I am different, I am more intelligent, I am more strong. All these I is probably a creation of Prakriti. What does the Purusha do? The Purusha does, he is detached, he is just enjoying both pleasure and pain with joy only. In his Ananda Sthiti, it is there only. Everything gets from that. It is like white light will remain white. When you all colors, you merge them, they become white again. But when they split, you see the different experiences of colors. You have darker colors, lighter colors, different ways. So all of that is not affecting the Purusha. But Prakriti is working. पुरुषः प्रकृतिस्थो हि भुङ्क्ते प्रकृतिजान् कारणं गुणसङ्गोऽस्य सदसद्यो निजन्मसु. So, sadasat yoni janmasu. What does this? Different yonis of our birth are taking place, is what Krishna says. Immersed in her qualities, he presides. Experiencing her nature, he resides. His attachment to Prakriti is the sole cause of all births in the mortal womb of sin and good that he draws. So, this tandem, this dance of Shiva and Shakti only has created this entire Srishti. All the different, it is as if suddenly this dance started taking place. Shiva was there meditating in his trance. Shakti comes, tries to awaken him. He doesn't get up at all. Then she starts doing a dance to make this Natraja also awaken. And in that process, everywhere, this Shiva and Shakti's union starts spreading light all across the world. It is like a cascade of light falling, and everywhere the light falls, there life forms are being born of different types. So this is exactly what we can say. Prakriti and Purusha's joint action is responsible for all the different yonis that are created in the world. He goes on. उपद्रष्टानुमन्ता च भर्ता भोक्ता महेश्वरः परमात्मेति चाप्युक्तो देहेऽस्मिन् पुरुषः परः. Situated within this physical envelope mortal is the one supreme indwelling Lord immortal. He is the witness, observer, and giver of consents. Nature's modes he enjoys, upholds, and augments. So gunas are receiving the support. So as Prakriti is functioning, Shiva gives his support from behind. Yes, all the gunas are also probably supported by the divine. Krishna is saying he is the one, he is that. He is situated inside a physical mortal envelope of all the human beings also. Our body is going to get disintegrated, but this, what we can say, limited and finite body also is containing this infinite, immortal one. And he quietly observes, he takes place, he allows things to move ahead also quietly. And the three gunas, they keep functioning, and he supports the movement of the three gunas. He goes, let us go on further. Ya evam vetti purusham prakritim cha gunaihi saha sarvatha vartamanopi nasa bhuyo bhijayate. He who knows and realizes the duality of the Supreme Purusha and Prakriti's every quality, his way of living or actions notwithstanding, that being certainly finds release from rebirth's bonding. So Krishna is saying, if you understand this role of Purusha and Prakriti, the dance of Shiva and Shakti in our life, he says you can get moksha. Just understanding their presence and understanding their moment is enough. No matter what way of life that person is living, no matter what that person may be doing, that sakshatkar comes, he is going to get moksha. I never thought moksha can be so easy or to be realized. But how can then, what do you think could be the logic here? How does this help? Even just realizing is different. Who knows when somebody gets the realization, then I think as Bamaji quoted, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shumo, Shivoham, that realization, Name Mrutyu Shanka, Name Jati Bheda, Pita Naiva Me Naiva Mata Na Janma, Na Bandhur Na Mitram. So that is the state. But now that is the highest state which has to come after experiencing only. We cannot just try to, intellectually try to connect with that and mentally try to, recreate it. That is just like auto suggestion, not a realization. But what do you think can help? How can this tandem of Purusha and Prakriti or this movement help us become free in life? Maybe not the full moksha also, but what even one degree of freedom, something which we can experience. How do you think it's possible? This realization. Can anybody guess?
It's like being stable or see, I mean, whatever happens around us,
Yeah.
that is the dancing we can compare with. Prakriti, the dance is nothing but situations, the sorrows and happiness, and whatever happens around us. Whatever happens, you don't get carried away or get attached to it. Be calm inside.
Be calm
You
and
can
yeah.
composed and try to be a observer.
Okay.
Don't get, so that will be like Shiva.
Yes. Okay.
Don't get attached to it. You just be observer, and if you one can get to that situation, then that is close to moksha. I feel. That's
Okay,
what
that is close to moksha. Getting Shiva is always closer to moksha, but what about Shakti?
that's what Shakti will try to pull you
Huh.
to the worldly attachments and
So,
attachments.
okay. So Shakti has only a bad role. Is it Gayatri ji?
Not a bad, it's a dynamism.
She? Yes?
It's a dynamism.
It's a dynamism. So we must understand both Shiva as well as Shakti. It is something who is more important, we cannot say. Now, because Shiva is there, he is the creative spirit. And
That's the
then,
core.
yes, the
Shiva
core.
is the core, and surrounding things are Shaktis are
Okay.
dynamisms.
All right. So we can say
You have to
one
go beyond that dynamism to reach that
to reach the core.
core. Yes.
Okay, so Gayatri ji is still somehow leaning towards Shiva only, indirectly. So yes, okay. So well, this aspect of there is always an argument in organizations. Who is more important? The idea is mine. I created everything, or the other person says no. I executed it. I made that idea manifest. So who is important? Is it the creative spirit or the executive spirit? And that is an argument which will never end. because the creative spirit keeps thinking I am supreme, the executive spirit keeps thinking I am supreme. It's both are equal. It is like Shiva is expressed through Shakti, and it is Shakti that is manifesting Shiva. So it is something, both are incomplete without each other. Both are equally important. Yes, Srinivas, wants to add something. Yeah, I think the screen is frozen. I'm not able to see Srinivas. All right. Maybe when the computer connection is restored.
Simple example is like we like to wear nice dresses, go out,
Yeah.
have good time
Okay.
with
Yeah.
people around us, have partying. All
Yes.
these things are fine.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we would like to be alone,
Okay.
peacefully. So the whole day we are like part of Prakriti, and when it comes to night or a part of a day, at least we want to be alone and peaceful.
Yes.
The
Okay.
peacefulness comes when you're alone.
But can that peacefulness not come when you are in company of near and dear ones?
See,
If
when you
it,
sleep, see if you basically
huh,
sleep.
huh.
Sleep is thing you can't have with people, right?
Okay.
When you're alone only,
Okay.
that joy you don't get. Okay, that is another partying or being with friends is one part of the same
Okay.
joy. But the ultimate joy when you get is when you
Okay.
sleep.
On your
You
own.
yourself don't know what is happening around.
Acha. All right, ji. Okay. Okay, Gayatri ji. So yes, so this is it. This realization. So it is something when you suddenly become conscious. It is like when that light manifests. You understand the pattern of the ways. You can understand things happening around, and now your emotions are not going to trouble you. You are going to be able to say yes when you have to, no when you have to also. Both you understand, and suddenly you watch the dance. You watch the dance of the divine. Maybe in the, like if you see in the morning, early morning also, how the nature suddenly comes alive. This is the game of Prakriti. In that you become conscious. Like now we were hearing when you spoke background, this koel's birds sounds were also visible. So what is this beautiful nature everywhere? We can see, we become conscious. It will help us come out. We will understand this is a part of life. A cycle of life is taking place, and it is a cycle which is being governed by. I think Srinivas ji wants to say something, but I'm not able to hear you. Yes, please. Ji. Hari Om. I'm not able to hear you, Srinivas ji. Yes, some network issue there. So, all right, if we can come back, we'll see then. We'll continue. So, this is it. This is freedom, the realization, the sakshatkar, and understand this game taking place of Purusha and Prakriti. We are part but constituents in it. Recognizing this can sometimes free us from all our impulsive actions also. Let us go on further. Krishna goes on. ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानमात्मना अन्य सांख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे. By delving deep into the inner realms while meditation, or knowing the eternal self by the soul nature separation, or else by the yoga of dynamic action, one can gain the indwelling supreme's realization. So, this sakshatkar can be got. It is not something which is impossible for all of us. It is very much within our reach. How? By going deep. You can go deep inside in dhyana. Different techniques have been told. So why not try meditating? Take some quality time out for yourself, with yourself. Go deep into meditation. Probably Gayatri ji was indicating at that aspect of connecting by going deeper inside. Or by recognizing the soul nature separation, that dvaita which is there, this atman prakriti, how that and maybe go into that advaita after that also. Whatever aspect is there, by trying to go and understand the inner aspects of the truth, or by yoga of dynamic action. Some of them prefer great karmas only. I'm not interested in jnana, I'm going interested deep into my action only. Continuously I'll keep working. Again, yad yad karma karomi tadakhilam shambho tavaradhanam. Karmas are not going to be left, only these karmas are going to be channeled as aradhana of the divine. So all these ways one can get that indwelling supreme's realization. But Krishna goes on, he says, अन्ये त्वेमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः. But those who are ignorant and do not know of the ways of the paths, or which path to go. This is also a question, which path to go. So many paths are there. There's a nice Marathi saying, Vithala konsa jhenda gheu hati. Means which flag should I take? There are so many flags, so many. Everybody is saying my path is the best. And this person, devotee, is already confused. He said, this person is giving this type of Brahmagyan. That person is saying, you walk on my path, you will get this. Each person is inviting me, and each path is different. So the question is already confused, which flag should I take? Like all political parties canvassing for their votes. They say, "Oh, vote for me, vote for me." So this aspect Krishna is saying. Those who are ignorant, they do not know of the ways of the path or which path to go. When to the knower they listen and follow with devotion. Whichever of these paths is tread, immortal is their destination. Meaning, with Shraddha, you can, whichever path you follow, Krishna is saying, that path will lead you to that supreme destination if there is Shraddha. Because when to the knower they listen, so they identify the Kshetragnya. And this is the perception of the perceiver, not more of the Kshetragnya. Means we have seen how Dronacharya didn't want to teach, but Eklavya learned from the statue only. So like that, there are sometimes there is a ability of the perceiver with devotion, with Shraddha. Shraddha can make miracles happen. Shraddha can move mountains. It can drain oceans also. That is the power. And with Shraddha, you recognize surrender to the Supreme Kshetragnya. Then he says, whichever path you have taken, even a wrong path will become right because your Shraddha will align you on the right direction correctly. It is, I mean, if you see, Ganesha is called Guru Pakhanda Khandakaya, meaning wrong teachers also. He is the destroyer of wrong teachers, the Vignaharta. Meaning what? This person will go with Shraddha and then Ganesha will bring him back on the right direction. Even if the guide is wrong, the direction will go right, but the aspect of searching is important, and the person who is having the path, who is treading, he must have devotion and he should surrender to the Supreme Kshetragnya, which Krishna has already declared that there is one Supreme Kshetragnya who knows all the Kshetras, who is the Lord of all. So this is what Krishna is saying. Whichever path they go, need not worry. It's all right. Seeking is important, and that is what it is. All right. Everybody who does not know only will one day know. If you know already, what is there is a chance of knowing? Kena Upanishad says only he who does not know can know. Somebody who knows will is already lost there. He has formed. He already has understood. I have understood everything. Now nothing can be added further. And there is a nice quote actually. Damleji had one of the first quotes I had got from him. He said, he who knows not, and knows that he knows not, teach him. Means somebody does not know, and he knows that he does not know. You can teach him. He who knows and knows that he knows, means somebody who knows and he also knows that yes, I know. Follow him, because that is a Kshetragnya. You will learn from him. And he who knows not and knows not that he knows not, means he does not know and he still does not know the fact also. He thinks he is no. Leave him is the word. It was a very strong word. Leave him. Do not, because you are going to waste your energies. You are going to go into the ignorance only. And this is a danger. There is a danger of ignorance also. Andaha tamaha pravishanti eke chatmano janaha. It's a very big danger also of tamas. So it is easy, and so here identify Kshetragnya, learn from Kshetragnya, move ahead. That is exactly what Krishna is also saying, irrespective of which path is taken. We need not have that fear. As Arjuna already before embarking on the path of yoga, he is asking, what is yoga brashta? Is it true? And Krishna says, no, there is no such yoga brashta. You don't have to worry. You go ahead, you are going to keep going ahead only. There is no regression on the path of yoga. So like that, it's okay. There are so many paths. It's all right. Krishna says, let your devotion be clear. Let your mind be directed towards the inner clarity. Krishna will take you on the right road wherever you travel. There is no road which is not Krishna's. Let us go on further. Krishna goes on. Yavat sanjayate kinchit satvam sthava rajang satvam sthava Rajangamam Kshetra Kshetragnya Sanyogat Tadvidhi Bharatarshava. O Arjuna, every being living on this earth, moving or non-moving, however may be their birth, are caused by the field and its supreme knower's union, as all entities are born in their communion. So this Purusha and Prakriti's union only has brought about all life forms, however the person may be living. It is this duality, this joining of the Purusha and Prakriti that has given birth to life, is what Krishna is saying. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishthantam parameshwaram vinashyatsva avinashyantam yah pashyati sah pashyati. So Krishna's trademark statement, Yah pashyati sah pashyati. He who sees can see. Everybody can see, but no, some people choose to be blind. In spite of having eyes, they don't want to see. What can be done then? Only that person who can perceive it will be able to, is what Krishna says. What? Seated within all life forms is the one supreme, residing equally in all beings of the mortal realm. In a perishable frame, the indestructible dwells to be. Whoever can thus see, he is the one who can truly see. So, inside of all, equally the divine is present inside all living beings, is what Krishna is saying. The immortal, supreme Paramatma, the supreme, all powerful, almighty divine, is present inside of all these finite human bodies equally. God is not closer to someone and away from someone. It is the eyes that are seeing that are creating the entire division. That is Maya. Somebody who can see beyond it, that person is seeing the truth. Yah pashyati saha pashyati. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra. Samavastita mishwaram. Nahi nasti atmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. Witnessing the existence of the one Lord in all things, he perceives the supreme play of forces in all beings. By the flames of passionate desire, he is not injured, and for such a being, the supreme status is assured. So, this person who is able to see that, he is going to understand the play of forces taking place in the world. How sometimes you see that it is the forces that are operating. A person is not good or bad. That person is now carrying negative forces, and that person is now operating under the force of those forces. It's easier if you can just identify the source, and Krishna is saying that person who is able to see all this play, he is not himself or herself going to be injured by these forces only. Because what happens, we get, how did this person speak to me? Or how can people be like this? How can this happen? World is like this, world is like that. We get disturbed, and our disturbance leads to our downfall only ultimately in many situations. So if somebody who is able to see the forces, he's exactly understanding that this one divine is working in so many ways, then that person is going to be in a supreme status. I remember one person, he got very angry and he was shouting at in college at all the people. All my friends were very disturbed. Luckily, I got supreme knowledge or something. I understood what happened to that person, why he was shouting. Before entering the class, his head hit the wall. That was the only reason. So now that is the force. The force of anger has entered inside of him. Now he is manifesting it on everybody else, saying, "You are useless, you don't know this, you will never succeed." When my turn came, I said, "Yes, it is because of the wall. So I don't need to take this to my heart, whether or not it's going to work." And it really helped because that day he was in a mood of making everybody go out of the class. And we had a new subject called Fortran. So he just asked, "What is Fortran?" On the first day, we were not introduced what language was, and for a mechanical engineer, that's the most unnecessary language to be taught in the syllabus also. We don't know why it is required. And I just did not want to say nothing, so I just guessed formula translation because I thought it could be a joining of two words, a play of words. I just said Fortran formula translation. Excellent, he said, sit down. So I got to sit in the class, and everybody else were out. And for the full semester, I was the intelligent person in that subject because, am I right? That was a question that was asked to me. I don't know anything, but it was still, at least I was saying I was lucky that time because I could understand this aspect of the emotions. Sometimes this, if I had got worried or now I am also going to get out every time I'm going to get this assignment trouble, maybe I would have lost it. So sometimes in life, if we can recognize the play of forces, of course Krishna is talking on the higher level also. The supreme forces are working in so many levels, microcosmic level also, macrocosmic. They make wars take place, they make different entities suddenly react differently, it creates so many fluctuations. But if you can understand all of this, you are not going to be worried. Stock market rises, stock market goes down. It is going to happen. You are not going to be going up and down with the changing market. Something like that is what Krishna is saying. And that person is going to remain at peace. He'll do the right thing at the right time. प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः यः पश्यति तथात्मानम् अकर्तारं स पश्यति. It is Prakriti who alone engages and enacts. In all the world's working she acts, but the self remains inactive and silently foresees. Whoever sees this truth of the world truly sees. So the Atman is the silent observer, he is the witness. Prakriti is doing all the work, Prakriti's works are taking place All the gunas, all the doshas, all the vikara, everything is taking place because of the play of forces of Prakriti. The source is independent and quietly observing everything. It is like the CEO of an organization who is not directly participating in the works, but has assigned the works to another in charge for the entire organization and quietly watches everything from behind the scene. He's pumping in the funds, but the working is going on because of the executive. So this force, that same thing is what Krishna is talking about. Prakriti is doing that. 30th shloka. Yada bhuta pruthak bhavam ekastham anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadhyate tada. When one realizes the unexpressed and latent eternal, dwelling within the myriad forms, the one supernal, because of whom all existence sustains, the gnosis of the Brahman he verily attains. So when one realizes this supreme, unexpressed, eternal, who is dwelling in all the different forms, he gets that Brahma Jnana also. This realization, one realization of the divine, of the Brahma, in every little thing also the person is able to experience. अनादित्वान् निर्गुणत्वात् परमात्मयम् अव्ययः. So this anaditvan nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyayah sthiras sthirastopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Immaculate and without any boundaries or ends, all of nature's qualities, the Supreme Self transcends. O Arjuna, the Self is seated within the body unperturbed, and by occurrences of nature, he is not disturbed. So this person, he's saying this is the supreme truth, which is immaculate, which is perfect, which has got no boundaries, no ends. All the qualities of gunas also are transcended by this supreme existence. So gunas are just expressing to us to or what is vyakta, but then beyond the vyakta also is there. That is the avyakta. Arjuna, the self, is seated within the body undisturbed. So again, we have seen this. Nainam chindati shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka. Body goes through all this. It gets tortured also. It gets destroyed. It gets burnt. It gets cut. All these things happen to the body. But inside there is that element, that core, which is not going to get through all of this. It just changes bodies, is what Krishna had told earlier. But that is that supreme. He goes on further. Yatha sarvagatam saukshmyad आकाशम नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मा नोपलिप्यते. Like the sky that stretches all across space, and its subtleness limits not its all pervading embrace, so too is the self that in all life form persists unaffected. Within the physical body the self exists. So Krishna says, like the sky that is spreading, it is like sky is subtle, is it not? It's very subtle. Can we say it is very strong physically? We can see sky like that, or is it very subtle? It is subtle, but can I say I hold it in my hand? I have. It cannot contain because it's all pervading. It is like that. So is this supreme self. It is subtle and yet vast at the same time. Yes, Gayatri ji wants to add something.
No, same thing. Vyapta, it is spread all over.
Spread all over. Yes, yes. So Krishna is just that is the supreme self, present in one small place and yet present everywhere else also. The sky, Akash Tattva, is a brilliant example of the supreme divine. यथा प्रकाशयत्येकं कृत्स्नं लोकम् इमं रविः क्षेत्रं क्षेत्री तथा कृत्स्नं प्रकाशयति भारत. O Arjuna, just as a singular sun's light is adequate to make the whole of the earth bright, so too is the field illumined complete. With the knowledge of the field's light, it is replete. So Krishna is saying this Kshetra also is like that. Our Prithvi, how many suns are we requiring? One sun is enough. That sun is bringing about the entire revolution of so many forces in the world. The nature's forces, the currents, all these things are operating, and for us one sun is sufficient. It is enough for nourishing all of us. No matter all the darkness in our solar system is dispelled by the light of one sun. So like that Krishna is saying Kshetra is also illumined by whom? By the light of the Khsetragnya. The Kshetragna's light, that one Kshetragnya is more than sufficient for all the Kshetras. And in the Kshetra, in any Kshetra, the one Kshetragna's light can spread light everywhere and dispel darkness. So probably one person becomes a Kshetragnya, that person can bring about an entire transformation in the Kshetra. We have seen so many times in so many places, whichever Kshetra you look at, whether it is in the political field, whether it is in the scientific field, whether it is even in the home front, one person can bring about a change. Sometimes family goes through a very dark period. So many attacks take place in the family, emotional, psychological, financial, all of it, health wise. And in those moments, everybody look like now this family are going to fall. What has happened to our family? And then these are very troublesome moments. But in those moments, one person receives the strength from somewhere. That person rises, and that person's strength is sufficient to take the entire family ahead or take the entire group out of a situation which is difficult. Something like that is what Krishna is saying. That is the power of the Kshetragnya. The Kshetragna's light is sufficient. It is said sadhana. One person does sadhana, he is going to take the entire household ahead. One person's sadhana can carry the full, they say not just the home, even the ancestors will give their blessings. There you are going to take the uddhar of the generations to come also, they say. The betterment of posterity as well as take place by one person's actions. That we have seen also. Some people work selflessly with a particular motive, and then generation after generations people get benefit from the efforts of somebody else. So this is what Krishna is talking about, the Kshetra and the Kshetragnya. Kshetra is illumined by the light of the Kshetragnya. The Kshetragnya is the one who receives that avyakta light and manifests it everywhere. Krishna says, Kshetra Kshetragnya yorevam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ya veduryanti te param. With the inner eye of knowledge, those who perceive about the field and the knower, they can conceive. The inner knowledge, with the inner eye is there. What is this Jnana Chakshu? Is it only for Arjuna? Arjuna was some sort of alien who had one special inner eye, or he got some special surgery done, or this eye is there for everyone.
It's for everyone.
It's everyone, is it not? Yes.
It's a realization what.
It is that, and yes, and that is why when you see with that eye, yah pashyati, sah pashyati, sah eva pashyati. That person who sees with the jnana chakshu only can see the truth. Otherwise, he is still looking at the surface and getting all that glitters is not gold. This person is already looking at what is glittering and assuming it to be everything. Upanishad talks about hiranmayana patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham, meaning even gold is a covering. They say break that covering and then go to the truth, because that is also a deception of sorts. So this is exactly what Krishna is saying. Somebody who is able to see with that inner eye, he is able to understand the Kshetra and the Kshetragnya, about the field and its knower, they can conceive. And of the individual's liberation from Prakriti's dominion, they attain with the Supreme the complete merger and union. So what can happen then? Then they will understand. It's probably Purusha will whisper the secrets of how to escape from the domination of Prakriti also. When that person recognizes it, that person can sometimes rise beyond the impositions of nature also. That is what is Siddhi. With sadhana, you are able to overcome what are the natural limitations also inside of an individual. That's what Krishna is saying, and ultimately get that highest realization. So with this, we are entering into the next chapter. This chapter is now complete. The Kshetra, Kshetragnya Vibhag. There's this dance of the Purusha and Prakriti in the world. We realize that, we become conscious. The moment we become conscious, our life is filled with light. And what is this light but Ananda? If you can describe it in some quality for human beings, which we can understand, it is Ananda. And if you see, Sri Aurobindo's Upanishad also ends with the same thing. Anandam hi pravakshami bhagavatadishtaha tamasam apavritya prakashastu anandasya putraha. Means you are children of Ananda, harbingers of his light. He says, spread that Ananda everywhere. Make your Kshetra full of that light is what Sri Aurobindo Upanishad chooses for ending his Upanishad also. Sri Aurobindo chooses for ending that Upanishad with this part only, where this is the Ananda. Receive, you are children of that bliss. Anandasya putraha. Bring that light, manifest it everywhere in all your moments. So with this, we are ready to enter into next Adhyay. That is the three modes of nature. What are these gunas? Krishna is now introduced Prakriti. But now he's going to talk about the three major operating principles of Prakriti: Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. We've heard of it before. What is the reason everybody is sinning was Arjuna's question. When he said there is a divinity inside of all, Arjuna had immediately asked, if there is divinity, why do people sin? And Krishna had replied then that it is Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajoguna Samudbhavaha. Because of Rajoguna, Kama is manifesting, Krodha is manifesting. So these two, desire and anger, are the enemies coming out of Rajaguna. So we will see what is this Rajas, what is this Sattva, what is Tamas, what are their qualities, what are their limitations. So with this, I'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Any queries are there? You are most welcome. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. हरि ओम तत्सत. कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. ओम शांति शांति. हरि ओम. Any queries?
Hari Om.
Most welcome. Yes, Hari Om ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om ji.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.
So should we?
Yes ji.
I have one doubt.
Ji.
These forces of you were talking about forces created by union of Purusha and Prakriti.
Okay.
Are they the same as cause, reason?
Huh?
This force, yeah.
Are they the same as cause of what? The original cause?
No, these forces and the cause, whether that is same. Because the forces which are created by a union of Prakriti and Purusha, whether you mean to say that the cause behind every creation and this force, whether that is the same.
Okay, what we can see, the cause was one, the original cause that brought about the manifestation. This has been understood in so many, almost all spiritual traditions, that there was one, the original one, there was an origin, Adi Bija Ekali, means there was first one seed, one source, which started everything. From there, manifestation started. So from Purusha, there came a manifestation of the first there was this which is higher than what is Shara and Akshara, the supreme infinite. It was divided into two forces, a creative spirit and executive spirit. We can call it Purusha, we can call the other as Prakriti. Both of them created a Srishti together. When the Srishti was created, in the creation of Srishti, what happened was there was this union. In that union, there was something, some aspects of the original remained, but along with that, there was a small deviation which created Vikara. So, all the forces are not only pure forces, there are forces of Vikara also which are there. So, probably that is what is to be eliminated, Srinivasji. Ultimately, all is one. They have come from here, but now these forces have just, it's like light splitting into different colors, and these are manifesting different ways. So cause and effect, Prakriti is responsible, is what Krishna is saying. The entire domino, action, reaction. Prakriti is responsible for us to go through our cycle of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, old age, all of it is taking place. But there are yogis who have learned to come out of the control of Prakriti also.
No,
Yes, Srinivasji, Hari Om. Yes, is your Hari Om. Did it relate? Was it Hari Om?
You're saying that you're saying about Khsetragnya being most subtle and most
Ha.
being present here, present everywhere.
Yeah.
Similarly, even in the second chapter for Atma, they were saying,
Yes, yes.
most smallest
Ha.
as is present everywhere.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I'm having a problem with this. You can understand about Paramatma, but even you're saying that our individual Atma or Atma itself is
Okay.
Sukshma as well as
Yeah.
infinite.
So yes, Vasudevanji. So Jivatman, you do not perceive Jivatman to be a ansha of the Paramatman.
No, it's Anusha, but that Anusha, how can a small part of Paramatma be present everywhere?
Why not? Why not, Vasudevanji?
That's why I'm saying
Ha.
that's why I'm having a problem.
Ji, yes, yes. Because then that is the point of understanding. Because sometimes it is up to us to perceive them to be
That is
dual.
a pot full of water.
Ha.
Water is everywhere in the pot, but the individual drop of water is not there everywhere.
But then the water example Krishna gave, I think, in second Adhyay only. Yavan Artha Udapane, that Samplutadaki means the reservoir of water is having so much, and well is also having water. But if we want to use water, I want water for drinking. Will it make a difference whether I take it from the reservoir or will it, or I take it from the
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about individual, say, a drop of water in the pot. Can we say it is there everywhere in the pot? It's there only in that particular spot.
a drop of water?
The whole of water is, water body is there in the whole pot,
Ha,
which is like a Paramatma, let us say.
yes.
But the individual drop of water is, can we say it is there in the whole of pot?
It is like is the drop of water the same as that of the entire reservoir? Drop of water is only a drop. It is not a reservoir. But if you see somebody who understands both are one, he can get access to the Vedas only. Vedic realization is contained is what in second Adhyay Krishna says. If I can just find that Adhyay.
This is where I'm having a problem.
Yavan, yeah,
Paramatma
the
itself
46.
being present everywhere,
Ji,
but
ji.
saying Atma is
No,
also present everywhere.
yes, yes. No, but by Vasudevanji, it is fine. No, it is fine. Krishna has asked us to choose as per our understanding because if you see, this is the way of Dvaita. They feel this is different. This cannot be one, and some perceive it to be one. But that's not so much of it is a marga which we can choose. But interestingly, the example of water 46 shloka is just yavan artha udapane sarvatah samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. Meaning, just as all the usefulness of water in a well is all encompassed in a reservoir replete, so too is all the Vedic knowledge as well, known to him, who has self-realization complete. So some individual also gets a realization or sakshatkar. He gets the access to the entire reservoir of wisdom of the Vedas, or how we see in many. This is the breaking of logic in many villages in India. People who have not studied scriptures have got self-realization and start quoting certain words which suddenly appear in the scripture, or they have already appeared in the scripture, they have not read it. The Shishyas after 3-4 generations say, these words, I am studying it and I am seeing the same in the scripture. So what has happened is they have connected through something, through that realization. They are connecting to that supreme source also. So, but again, Vasudevanji, like we said, we are not going to be trying to say Dvait is correct or Advait is correct. It is a perception. We wish to perceive it to be different. But still, you can still, as bhakti, you can try to understand Krishna, what is that which is supreme. But this is Krishna's dialogue where he is saying that yes, this is also having that subtleness. There are different interpretations, of course. Yes, please.
I can understand that even drop of water, full water is wetness is the same.
Ji, ji, ji.
Both the wetness is the same.
Ha,
The property is the same.
ji.
But can you say that one drop of water is present everywhere? That's what I'm having a
Ha.
problem.
Ji, 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 ji. No, but like I said, no, ji. Yes, ji, yes, ji. You can actually hold on to your understanding and go ahead with that only if you wish to. Because this is a perception as yah pashyati sah pashyati. It's not wrong to see what connection. You are not driving a conclusion. You're not able to see the oneness right now.
Obviously, Krishna is saying it must be correct.
Ji.
So how to understand it?
Uh,
Is the pramanam.
ji, 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 ji. Yes,
If
ji,
I'm
yes.
going to think that Krishna is wrong, there's no point in studying Bhagavad Gita.
Ha. Ji, ji, ji. So then I think we'll have to hold on to Shraddha and hope he will, the Supreme Kshetragnya only gives an example. And he gives examples. We have to sometimes wait. In life we get that understanding that yes, that oneness is there. Probably Vasudevanji, we can probably just see that. Yes, yes. Ji,
I
ha.
don't understand the question itself. Like what he says is it
No,
is a
no, Gayatri ji, that is his
water.
question. It is his
No,
question,
no,
Gayatri.
no.
Yeah,
No, I'm not arguing on that.
yeah.
I'm just asking. I'm trying to understand the question.
Okay.
Water is there in the pond. You are taking it in the pot. So how is the water in the pond and pot are different? Isn't it?
Ha. Yeah.
Is the question he's asking? He's saying it is different.
Maybe in volume is what he's feeling. He's saying the volume is more.
What I'm saying is drop of the water body is present all over in the pot. Okay,
Correct.
but can an individual molecule of water can be assumed it's present everywhere in the pot?
It is present. So many individual molecules are present.
Yeah, but not. But each particle is not present everywhere in the pot. Each particle is present there only.
Means, but
Wherever it
H2O
is.
molecule is there in abundance everywhere.
Yeah, but each molecule is different, isn't it?
I
And it
Uh,
don't
cannot be
think it is.
present.
yeah, yeah, hydrogen oxygen bond is the same.
At least in normal physical understanding, maybe there's a quantum theory which will say that this present everywhere or something. But in our normal understanding, if I say I'm here in this room, I am not there in Arovit, right?
Okay, yes, Basanaji, but example of water only, if we see a pot full of water has so many molecules, we can say, of water only, if we look by that understanding.
Yeah. Molecules
And
are there.
you take out a small one single, probably if somebody is capable of extracting that one molecule also, and it is kept in a glass, or I don't know, wherever, some other place you are keeping that, it will still remain the same molecule only of water, is it not? If you look on the molecular level. On the molecular level, it will be the same. On the outer level, it may not be visible or may not be detectable also, a single molecule.
Molecule is a small word. It's a drop. Let us say small drop, which is visible.
Okay.
You know, but can you say that drop? I can even put a color to the drop probably, and put it in that part. It will be there. It will be only in one location, no, not throughout the pot.
But we can put the
That is
same color in the pot also then.
no. I'm talking about this particular molecule.
So we
You
have to
can put
keep
it
that.
color in other
Okay,
places.
okay,
I'm,
okay.
I'm
Haji.
this is I.
Yeah, it is
This is
fine. It is
where
fine.
I'm having a problem in
Yes,
understanding
ji.
Krishna.
Yes, ji. Probably,
But
I think Vasudevanji,
I can understand whole body, whole water is present everywhere.
you
Can
want that.
individual drop be present everywhere in that?
You mean that one drop cannot be present?
Obviously, Krishna is right, but I'm
Yes.
how to resolve this?
No, but this is a very interesting question, because again, you see, example of water, example of subtleness, and also all pervadingness, it is coming in your example only.
I can understand that each droplet has got a wetness as as any other particle or the whole of water.
Okay, ji.
But is it physically present everywhere in
What
the whole of
can we not look at it just on the molecular level, if we are looking as a perspective that molecules of water, there are 100,000 molecules as in the Paramatman, so many thousands and thousands of molecules. But from that, one molecule comes elsewhere and it goes to do some work which the Paramatman has decided, but it is the same molecule of the Paramatman. If you look only molecular level,
part of Paramatma?
yes, it leaves the Paramatman also. If you see, that molecule has left that water body and has gone elsewhere. The Paramatman has decided that this molecule, like you said, it is colored also. We've made it separate to distinguish. But that molecule has gone elsewhere. But if you look at it on the molecular level, do you think in this analogy, we are also just trying, Vasudevanji, just to see if, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
So if we
putting
can,
it out there. I'm
yeah.
having a problem with it,
No,
but
but can we not,
maybe I'll get an
yeah,
answer or
yeah, yeah.
tomorrow we can discuss whatever.
Yeah, so just this on a molecular level, can we not say the same molecule has traveled elsewhere? Though it has traveled elsewhere, now it appears different on the outside because of the properties of gunas or some color we have, varna we have given to it. In spite of that, it is appearing different, but on the essence, it is the same. Hydrogen, oxygen, that bond is there, two molecules.
But it is still somewhere else, no?
It is elsewhere, no doubt about that. It is elsewhere, but though it is
Then how can you
elsewhere,
say it is occupying the full pot?
these molecules still have water is occupying the pot, not that molecule. That molecule can be equated to Jivatman, which has left the ansha of the
No,
Paramatman.
let it be in the pot itself.
No,
But you
it
cannot
is
say
not in
that
the pot, but it is not in the
pervading the
pot,
whole of pot.
Vasudevanji.
It
Um,
is having a particular location in the pot.
because if you see the Garbha, there was this Hiranya Garbha. From that Hiranya Garbha, something left. We can call it a molecule has left from there. So that molecule, we are looking at it from our perspective. We are not even molecular biologists. So we or these scientists who can study molecules, but we are just assuming. But this molecule which has left, that is still a molecule of what? Of that same original water only. So on that basis, we can say water. But you and I will see this is
I'm
just
not
a.
even saying it has left the pot. It is still in the pot.
Uh,
But it has got a particular location. It is not
okay.
pervading the whole of pot.
Ji,
That
ji,
is
ji.
maybe it
Huh.
is not. I shouldn't be talking in a physical manner. Something else.
No, but what
This
we
is the
can say?
problem I'm having.
No.
I'm not saying that
Ji, ji, ji. No,
I'm right.
probably. No, no, no. It is
The pot
fine, no, ji. It
pot
is
is
fine.
obviously right.
Ji,
I'm
ji.
having this problem.
See, this is probably, yes, this is because of the what we can say, our logic has its limitation. We operate by some say a Boolean logic. We are working on Boolean logic or binary logic. We are looking at, but suddenly a new system.
can we say hello?
Yeah, yes, ji. Srinivas ji is got disconnected again. Hari Om. Yeah.
Mr. Vasudevan.
Yes, please. I think there's a network issue at Srinivasanji's. Yes, please. So probably what I'll just complete, and then if Srinivasanji can join, we'll see. Like we are looking at a binary, we are used to this binary language, and suddenly there's a new language which we are seeing which is having more than binary. So for us to understand that language, we'll have to enter into probably what is that octal or hexadecimal or some other language only to understand its functioning. But there is something, and you are also cognizant of that something else. Only how it's what is the fundamental principle or how is it working, that can be explored. But it will get the answer. Definitely, the answer will be got because it is being sought. Vasudevanji, it is a wonderful question, of course. Yes, ji.
Honest question.
No, no, it is a wonderful one, ji.
Right or wrong.
No, no, it is a good one. It is a right one, ji. We have to explore, and that is how. But if you see, inside also, outside also, near also, far also, Krishna is just twisting our logic. In there, what they say, the Upanishads also do that. In the start, they twist to our limits, like a gymnast is made to stretch, 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 and then do what we call superhuman works. Great flexibilities which are not possible also are there. So yes, it is a something which can be explored. Yes, Vasudevanji. Hari Om.
Hello,
Yes, ji.
can you hear?
Yes,
Yeah.
now it is
So
better.
Mr. Vasudevan, what he has quoted the example of water droplet, can we say that it's a group of like-minded people working for the same cause, bearing the same properties or same guna or durguna,
Hmm.
and it is just like that, no? It is
Ji.
the molecules of water are all same.
Yes. Yes.
So it can be it can on physical level we can definitely say that it is a group of like-minded people or
Hmm.
like-minded entity having the same properties. So that is a group of like-minded people. That is what we can say.
Okay, okay, Srinivasi, that's another interesting analogy. It is beautiful how Gita, one verse or one can have so many. Ekam sad vipraha bahuda vadanti, it is said. One truth is perceived so many ways. But this is the aspect where when we explore, we will find different detailed answers also. And ekameva dvitiyam brahma sadasadrupam sadasatitam. Brahma is ekameva advitiya. Somebody says it's dvitiya. No, they are it's like it is like shlokardhena pravakshami yaduktam granthakot. Brahma satyam jagat satyam. Jagat mithya is what one interpretation is there. There is another where it says Brahma satyam jagat satyam jivo brahmaiva napara. It's not different. आनंदमयम जगदम सर्वम परब्रह्मणाम अवर्तितम मायापि parabrahma prasantasya santarupiणam means everything is ananda. This is a verse which says anandamayam jagadam sarvam. This world is itself anandamaya. Parabrahmanam avartitam, meaning it has descended from the Parabrahma. From the Parabrahma, this Srishti has come into existence. What about Maya? Maya is that which is blinding our appearance. Well, Maya is also a part of something of the creation in the Srishti. It has been created by the Prakriti, functioning through these gunas. So Maya api Parabrahma, Prasantasya Santarupinam. Prasant is that which is infinite. The finite form of the infinite is what it is. So that is one another interpretation, but it is, I think, we need not hold on to immediate, I mean, realizations also. Questions can need not be answered right away also. In life, some questions will get answered. Sometimes the question is more important than the answer also. And why is an individual feeling it to be distinct? Why it cannot be one? That is worth exploring, and we find the answer we might find also. And like we know there is the Marga Dvaita, there is the Advaita, there is a Vishishta Advaita. Three are definitely there. Maybe a fourth Marga also may be found in the exploration. We will have a new Vedantic path laid also with these questionings. We will see, we can explore and we will find. But here Krishna has given the indication. Dvaita school has given Dvaita interpretation, Advaita school has given Advaita interpretation. Whatever it is, what we understand is manifesting divinity in life is possible. That is important. When we connect with the light of the divine, the Kshetra can become illumined. Why, how, what is the more practical aspect? Because this is again metaphysical, this chapter. Slowly, next chapter is again going to take us to that road of practicality with the three gunas. Hari Om. Yes, please. I think we can conclude. Yes, please. Hari Om ji. Anything you wish to share? Gayatri ji wants to add something. Okay.
Just what you concluded from that point of view, the entire water body could take a lot of water. It is from the same water body, so the qualities of the water is same. As Mr. Vasudevan has mentioned, maybe the same particle. He says this particle is not there in the water body. So we can say that only when it is having some other attribute of it. When we say color, the color a small droplet or some gunas are added to it. Sattva, Raja, maybe we cover it in next chapter. So if that is not there, it is same as what it was. The moment the part is broken.
So that guna makes it appear different,
That's it.
or its presence. It is like location. Its
So
location.
If it is not there, it's all same. So that
Location is also an attribute. Location is also an attribute. Time and but
no dimension of guna there, then it is nothing, that everything is same. Then that also we get bold.
but
Everything is the oneness. That is the thing. No, you won't be able to appreciate the difference at all. So that the three gunas are making the difference, which is making it more colorful, or which is really making the difference in life.
because the kala tita is how the divine is. Even kala and time and space constraints also are. Yes, the person is, the divine is transcending that. So if we look at it from the point of view of time, we will have to go to the beginning and the end, or location. Which is the location? When you want to, location also is in relation to some other point. To get to that point,
Answering to his point, I think the kala.
maybe, but why? What we should understand is everybody's questions. They are always, each of our questions are a spark. We are away from a realization. One spark away from realization. So each question can lead us to our answer, and maybe
Question and the answer was
maybe we will not have to say answer was also, because maybe for us the answer is there, but maybe when Vasudevanji gets that realization, he will understand Vedas also, as the Gita says. The realization of Vedic wisdom also is somebody who understands.
If you understood, you answer my question. That is next thing.
No, but our answer will not. Vasudevanji, what I am trying to say is, for Gayatriji the answer is got. For Gayatri,
take my viewpoint and
then we have a limitation of.
and find an answer and say why it is wrong. Take my
But
point
yeah,
of view
all right, Ji.
and
As
say why
if,
it is wrong.
probably, yes,
Today, not
Vasudevan.
today. That will be
Yes.
some other time. I think today is running out.
Ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Ji.
This is the way you should do. I will take your point and if I see if you are right or wrong. You take my point of view.
That is the Tarka forum, no? But that is a nice one. Yes. But not here. Yes.
I will be able to appreciate it.
Yes. But again, Krishna says initially also to us also, like Vasudevanji need not convince Gayatriji of his view, or Vasudevanji need not convince.
I'm not even saying this is my point of view.
No, it's all right.
The problem I'm having.
No, but that is also fine. No? Agnosticism is also a good way over getting the knowledge, because when you form.
No, it's not agnostic. I believe in Krishna, but I'm having problem with this issue.
Means not. I'm okay. I meant not agnostic in the.
The physics, I have a problem with the physics formula. Give me
you remove the kala and desha as the coordinates. Those two, if you remove, it is oneness.
No, it is there. It is right. We are present here. Unless kala is there, we will not be talking.
Vasudevanji, I think. Vasudevanji, what are we talking about?
I'm there in Auroville. I'm here right now in Chennai.
Okay, Vasudevanji is not in Auroville. Vasudevanji is.
Soul, the Atma of Vasudevan is there, present there in Auroville.
Vasudevanji, yes.
What you are saying.
Ji. I think just for a conclusion to our today's session only, I don't want to draw a conclusion to it, because Vasudevanji is speaking on the level of tarka or logic, and logic is, and what are we trying to analyze with logic? Parabrahma, who is beyond logic. We have limitations. I am limited by Indriyas. I cannot say, Vasudevanji, that I have sakshatkar. Or
I'm just saying we
are all limited.
It's only intellectual understanding.
But Sri Aurobindo calls it intellectual. No, I may not have.
Deep understanding, you will be able to answer my question.
Yes, Vasudevanji, I do not have a deep understanding. I am concluding it here. Let us conclude it here. I am not what we can say a person who has got realization. I am studying the Gita, and Krishna is going to give us the buddhi. I understand that. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. Right now, I feel this will be intellectual gymnastics, which will not have a time, which will not have an end. My view will go on. I will go on for next 30 years with my view. You will have. I understand it. Yes, sir. But did not be agreed. Yes, sir.
I will not gain anything.
It
I agree. If I I don't understand something here and I
Huh.
agree with everything,
Need not
there is
agree,
no,
no.
nothing is gained.
Need not agree, no ji. Need not agree. And Krishna is there to teach us. I'm not taking a position of somebody, a learned person. I will want to learn from you. Vasudevan ji.
I'm just saying, making my point clear.
Yeah, no, I understand it, Noji. I understand it. I understand it, Vasudevanji. I understand it. That is why we put in community guidelines in our first sessions only before that, is because these are questions which will not be answered. These will go on. These are why people have had tarkas, why there is no union between different Vedantic schools then. Why is there?
No, I didn't want to label it as some Advaita.
No, whether we label it or not, it is a question
I
of.
want to give a physical
No,
example.
it is a Vedantic question, ji. It is a
You put
Vedantic question.
labels on it, it will become a
No, 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 it is a Vedantic
physical
question.
issue or
It is no, no, it is a Vedantic question, and it will not
put
be
a
answered.
simple physical example without
No,
any
that
tags.
yes, Vasudevanji. I think this is something which will
I'm going to waste
because
my time.
debates go on endlessly, and something is there beyond debate. They say there is something which is even beyond the Vaikhari, Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, beyond the tongue also there is this knowledge, which is beyond the words also. If you see Shivam, Shantam, Advaitam, that is a Chaturtham Manyante, the Upanishad talks about it. That which cannot be spoken of, which cannot be understood, that which cannot be, used by your attributes of words also. How will we speak about that? And it is in silence. Sometimes they say Maunam Sarvartha Sadhanam. Questions are good, but sometimes we must respect we don't have the answer to the questions, and the answer will present itself on its own, and not anybody on the outside, or not by Shruti also, because many times Shrutva api it is not possible, not by hearing, not by seeing, then how? That is a big question. For that, this Sakshatkar must come from the inner eye, Anta Chakshu, Jnana Chakshu must open, and who can do it? That is why we say Krishnam Mande Jagat Gurum, let that Guru come. The question must be there, you must have your strong seeking, hold your point of view, but don't waste your time arguing with Sushrut or anybody else. We don't know what will I answer to you? Who am I to answer you that question? I am just somebody reading a Gita session, conducting a Gita class of joint study. This question, but you will have to hold on to if you want the answer badly, Vasudevanji. You will get that answer also, but you have to hold on very strongly. Krishna is there, he will answer it, of course. Hari
Yeah,
Om. Hari
no,
Om.
I just
Yes, Hari Om. I cannot,
already
I will
my
not be able to answer it. I am confident.
my question is not my question. It is there for everybody.
No,
Okay,
but yours has come to you.
huh?
Yours has come to you. Your
Where?
question is not being related with everybody else. Why?
No. I don't believe that. I think everybody has a
All
question,
right. So
but we
everybody
have
should
out of
relate.
that we have
Okay. Everybody must
our own
relate
belief
to what.
based on our upbringing. We have our
Okay.
beliefs.
All
You
right.
know
All right.
that is what I believe.
All
But
right.
I'm
All
not
right,
going to
ji.
force my question on
All
everybody.
right, ji.
I just
Yeah.
bring it up and leave it. That's all.
All right, ji. So, all right, ji. So, best wishes for that answer as well. Hari Om. Jai Shri Krishna.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು
धन्यवाद. Hari Om ji. Hari Om.
ಹರಿ ಓಂ.
Hari Om.